All right, guys, it's time for tonight's Tool Time Award. And tonight, it's going to New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Now, it's no secret that Bloomberg has waged a full-on war against food.
I read labels for the calories more so than the sodium content, I will admit. Whether it's helped my waistline is debatable. Wind up with a lot less sodium in the food. What we eat is really crucial to our health and our fitness.
Governments at all levels must make healthy solutions the default social option.
Now, recently, Bloomberg found a new demographic to force his food regulations on: the homeless. And now, look, I get it. There's a very real obesity epidemic in America. People are shoving their faces with food, eating themselves to death. It's incredibly hard to get access to healthy food. But don't you think that it's gone a little too far when we're trying to monitor the sodium intake of the people who live their lives on the streets, never knowing where their next meal is coming from? Now, apparently, Bloomberg doesn't really think that it's too far. New regulations in New York ban the donation of food to homeless shelters. And you heard that right. It is now illegal for churches and other businesses to donate leftover food to people that are homeless and hungry. And the regulation was discovered when a man trying to donate leftover bagels from synagogues in the area to a local shelter and was told that his food was not wanted. Now, the man had been taking leftover food to the shelters for over 10 years. So what did Mayor Michael Bloomberg have to say for himself when he was confronted about this new regulation? Well, check it out.
For the things that we run, because of all sorts of safety reasons, we just have a policy, it's my understanding, of not taking donations.
They just have a policy of not taking donations. Could he be trying to distance himself anymore? Now, I guess that he didn't want us to get the impression that this is an extension of his war on food. But unfortunately for Bloomberg, the city's own Department of Homeless Services commissioner basically explained this new policy as an extension of Bloomberg's war on food. He said that the regulation is consistent with Bloomberg's emphasis on improving nutrition for all New Yorkers. And the regulation is that if a shelter cannot access the salt, fiber, other nutritional content of the food, then that food must be turned away. Now, if you ask me, this is just beyond insane. I mean, let's look at it this way. We have an obesity epidemic in this country, and it needs to be fought and it needs to be confronted. So I applaud the efforts out there to get more nutritious food into our schools, into our stores, into our bodies. But we also have an epidemic of poverty and homelessness. The rates have been rising drastically in the last few years. So you can't just lump them all into one. Let's solve hunger before we start controlling what it is that those who have no money to buy any food can eat. Now, I really feel like with this one, Bloomberg, maybe he's just getting lazy. Maybe it was just too much work trying to take on people who have the ability to fight back, so he just decided to micromanage the diets of one group that doesn't have any say, which are the homeless. It's pathetic. And it's not the first time that Bloomberg has targeted the homeless population of New York. Last year, he tried to put a law in place that would force homeless people to prove that they had no other options before being admitted to a shelter. As the homeless shelters in New York City were such a coveted getaway destination. Now, last month, a judge struck down that law. So I guess that since Bloomberg can't keep the homeless from their cushy digs, he and his food police are settling for controlling the serving size, salt content, and the calorie count of the food that they put in their mouths. So, for saying no bagels for you to the homeless, New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg is tonight's Tool Time winner.